Welcome everybody to another episode of Front Office U Fridays. I am joined here today with Adam Sharrah. Adam, how you doing today?
Doing great. How are you?
Doing very, very well. So Adam is here today and he's going to talk a little bit about his career, his story, and everything that goes on in his day-to-day. So let's get right into it. Adam, tell us about a little bit about your current role and what you're doing right now, and what does that day-to-day look like in ticket operations?
So currently, I'm the Associate Athletic Director for Ticket Operations at the University of North Texas. Been here for just about 3 years. So kind of in my day-to-day responsibility, I am the individual overseeing our ticket office, so both our ticket sales and our ticket operations. For those that kind of don't know the difference between the two, ticket sales obviously reaching out to our fan base, trying to get people engaged and care about North Texas athletics and get them to games for the seasons coming up. And then operations is just making sure things run smoothly on our end. So website works, kind of everything else runs smoothly on our end. So my kind of responsibility is kind of oversee all of those aspects and then attend all the different planning meetings as we go through all of our different sports for our 7 ticketed sports here at UNT. But it's been a blast doing it for a couple of years now.
Well, that's exciting. And so with what you're currently doing now, what sort of was the initial spark that interested you in working in the sports industry and particularly in this business and operations side? And just kind of share a little bit about your early experiences in sports and how that kind of shaped your career path.
Yeah, I think just like kind of probably a lot of people in the sports industry, I grew up playing numerous sports. Basketball was my favorite. That was my go-to, the one that kind of I wanted to pursue pretty heavily. And so I played all when I was a kid into high school, different intramurals through college, and just tried to have fun within that landscape. Attended a lot of different events. I went to school at Colorado State University for my undergrad, and so I was pretty much at every single sporting event that they offered, just kind of in the front row, being a fan and cheering on the Rams. But then I realized there was even a chance to get a minor at my university for sports management, and so I wanted to kind of dive in and see what that was about because I didn't know you could have a career in sports. I thought it was just something as a hobby and whatnot. And so through that exposure, through that minor, I had to get a couple internships and worked with our volleyball team. One, fortunate to be with the championship winning team that year when they won the Mountain West. And then also just volunteer my time in the ticket office. Kind of helped out there with a variety of things, getting set up for football, basketball, volleyball, you name the different events we were doing it. And so that kind of gave me a real insight to what sports looked like. And then I kind of used my network and my different things of people that I knew during my exposure there at Colorado State to kind of get me involved of what is a potential at a lot of different universities around the country. So it's very exciting to have those initial exposures looking back on it now of who knows if I'd be in this seat right now if it wasn't for taking that leap to have the minor in sports management and then also kind of take advantage of the opportunities that I did at that moment with the people that I met and then all the intentions afterwards of following up and things of that nature that I'm sure we'll get into. But that's kind of neat to get that initial exposure into there, just volunteering my time, seeing, hey, I'm just willing to do this for class credit. And turns out it can be a whole career and it's worked out so well so far.
Yeah, the internships those are really the jobs that really lay the groundwork, right? Like, you learn so much from an internship and just, being around different people and seeing how they operate and just seeing how the entire office sort of mingles with each other and how they work with each other and how they actually get stuff done. And then on game day to see it all come to fruition is an exciting thing, especially when you're an intern and seeing it for the first time. So let's go kind of to your first internship. What was it like when you had first stepped through that front office and really started to see how it worked? Like what was your initial feeling when you were there, and then when you ended your first internship, like what was the feeling? Was it the same? Were you more excited? What was kind of going through your head at that time?
So I would say the initial feeling was overwhelmed. I think that was the first thing. And my first initial exposure to it was being an operations intern for the Colorado State women's volleyball team. So pretty much what that entailed was working underneath the director of operations and just kind of assisting wherever I needed to. So I remember my very first task was like taping the lines down on the court, having to be super precise, just things that you may not think someone has to do, but at the end of the day, someone is going to do it. And so I didn't want to mess up. That was the biggest thing. I wanted to see, all right, I want this exposure for my minor and for just my experience in general, but I had the fear of not wanting to screw anything up. And I ended up learning as I went through the experience, you don't have to worry about that because everyone makes mistakes. Everyone's not perfect, but just obviously put your best foot forward, try to do the best that you possibly can. And so that kind of exposure, like I said, that during that season, it was in my third year at Colorado State, and it was during the fall semester, so during their actual playing season. And so just basically being able to travel to different games, helping them with the meals after the fact, helping with the bus scheduling, the plane scheduling. When the postseason tournament came around, we had the opportunity to put in a bid to host as an NCAA tournament for winning the Mountain West Conference. Ended up not hosting, but went to a different site, and just seeing so many things on the back end that you may not think of. Working with the coaching staff, working with every single department, marketing, ticketing, communications. Now being in my lens, I understand how that looks like and how that operates. But in the moment, I had no idea there was so many moving parts. And that was what was so eye-opening to me about, okay, there's a lot of people that are very invested and they are great at their jobs, and it all comes together to make it a seamless event for the fans, the players, the coaches, everybody. And so kind of with that exposure in the 3-4 months that I was there with them, I mean, I was grateful for the experience, and I don't know if I'd have that same lens if I wasn't gifted that opportunity and provided that opportunity. And so I think, I mean, super grateful, like I was saying, for that role, and it shaped me of how having the mindset of different things going into my role now, even today, 6-7 years later. So the feeling after the fact was amazing, and wanting to do it again and wanting to do it again. And that's when I volunteered to become a ticket office intern and just help in a different capacity, because it's totally different being on a team side with the director of operations, with the coaching staff, versus on the administration side, which is of course what the ticketing and marketing and communications and you name it is on. And so seeing how those two overlap and intermingle between one another gave me a really good insight in my first ever year as a student of just seeing what does the sport industry look like, and then kind of what opportunities are there as I continue and look for postgraduate opportunities when that time came.
Yeah, I mean, and you kind of touched on this too, like being able to see the bidding process for something. I mean, that's huge, right? I mean, in seeing it so early on too. I mean, it must have just been, a wow factor. And I'm sure seeing maybe some disappointment that you guys weren't able to actually get the bid in the end, right? Like you're kind of seeing both sides, where you're seeing everybody work really hard to get something accomplished, but then there also is that side where sometimes it doesn't and it gets delayed, right? And it's kind of the same thing. You're working for a team, and maybe they don't win the championship that year, right? I mean, 100% is one of the most devastating things. So when a team is working together to get stuff done and then something doesn't happen, that can always be truly devastating. But it definitely sounds like you were able to really gain a lot from that internship regardless. And so moving from there, what has been the most rewarding moment of your career so far? And this can be in the whole scope of your career.
Yeah, I think there's a lot. I will say I've been fortunate to have a lot of great moments. One most recently that I'm going to touch on actually occurred just a few weeks ago here at North Texas. We've been striving to sell out our football stadium for the first time ever. We've never done it before. And it's been, in its entire history, it's never been done. That's always been a pillar of ours that we want to accomplish and knock off. And that's been a goal of ours since I was here for the last 3 years. We finally got it done for our October 10th game against South Florida. It was a Friday evening game on ESPN2. Set the facility record, sold out for the first time ever. It was a great rewarding feeling when getting everyone into the game smoothly, but just seeing the prep from every external unit, every internal unit within, that we knew it was going to happen. Like, we were trending in the right spot. The students, the community, everyone was just so engaged. Our football team was undefeated at the time. Kind of, we were on a roll. Everything was lining up perfectly. And just the rewarding piece is obviously work the game, get everyone in, and then going and seeing and hearing all the noise and the people. And it was just so cool to, I kind of got emotional in the moment, because that's what you work for as someone in a revenue generation position, is you want to have a great environment for your student athletes, for your fans, for the student body. And so it was really, really neat to see kind of the stadium fill with everybody. The game didn't go how I wanted it to go, but we can't control that at the end of the day. But just being so grateful and proud of the work that we put in as a ticket office, like I said, every external unit, just to get to that point was super rewarding. And so hopefully there's many more to come. Yeah, but that's obviously the most recent memory that I've had, and hopefully we can do a couple more this season.
I mean, I'm sure there's definitely going to be plenty more. You're still young in your career, so you still got plenty of time to make more moments. But going off of that, what are also some big challenges that you face, and how do you navigate them? Right, because I know that I'm sure ticket operations has a lot of different moving parts. So how do you face those challenges and navigate them when they come up?
I think the challenges are always evolving, especially in the ticketing space with technology improving constantly. I mean, we're always looking, especially at North Texas, but just overall, we're looking to innovate and find it so it's easy for our fans, for our customers, whoever it may be, to have a great experience, to make them want to come out to games, to support us, whether they're in Texas or a different state. So we're always having conversations about, hey, what can we do better? And different things like that. So we don't want to shy away from the challenges. Like at least I'm not afraid to admit what challenges we are and what we're doing to work on those, because no one's perfect and we're not content with being where we're at right now. We want to continually evolve. Yeah, we sold out the game, which is great. That's now the standard. So we want to get to that point now moving forward for the future, and what are we going to do stepwise to get there? So the challenge too for us at North Texas is we're in the DFW Metroplex, obviously big area, a lot of alumni, a lot of people in general. There's so many options to do. So how can we make North Texas appealing to people to attend games, to donate, to get engaged with our department? So I think we're always challenging ourselves in many, many different areas of keeping that in the back of our mind, of making it a fun experience, and just seeing how we can get more people in the boat is how we always use it. In our meetings, we kind of always describe what are some pillars, what are some things that we are working on currently that we can get more people in that boat and just get kind of our brain recognition up, and just make sure people are aware of where we're at, but then making it a fun time to attend games or just be engaged, or they know you have a good time at North Texas, to make it a suitable option for those on the weekends or evenings or whatever the case may be to come to games. So those are challenges that we have specifically, but I think we're always evolving in many, many different things, and I'm not afraid to say that we're lacking in something, because I know we're working behind the scenes that people may not see to resurrect those and make sure we have everything going forward and have a good plan in place that people are proud of the work that we're doing, and it makes a benefit in their.
So it really seems like, just listening so far to what you're saying, it seems to be like a lot of leadership coming from your direction and sort of what you've learned. And do you think that that's something that has set you apart in your career? Is your leadership?
I would hope so. I think I've been fortunate to work under a lot of great leaders in my time, and whether that be in my internships, my couple full-time responsibilities, and then also just people that I've surrounded myself with. I think we got great administration here at North Texas, so it's been great to kind of work underneath them. But I definitely would not be in the seat that I am. I wouldn't even be in Texas if it wasn't for my previous supervisors that kind of trusted me with many different things and things of that nature. I am always someone that people helped me and they still continue to help me. So I want to give back and help however I can, but I also want to be that strong presence that, hey, if you need anything or want to talk through anything, like, I'm willing to help out. I'm willing to be there for them. So I would hope that that's kind of set me apart, and obviously still have a long way to go kind of in that capacity. But it is something that I try to put in the forefront of my mind of, you got to be a strong leader. You got to be there for your team and show confidence that you have in them, because you don't want to make them come to work every day. You want them to come to work today, like, excited, ready to go, motivated. And so that's something that I try to strive daily. It's tough sometimes, and it is challenging, but having that open dialogue and just knowing you're there for the right reasons is really good at the end of the day.
Yeah, it makes everything better, right? When people want to come into the office, right? Because not every day is going to be easy. So it's always nice when you have, a leader kind of come in and say, hey, this is what we're going to do today. We're going to do a great job. You know what I mean? We're going to see it all come together. Over the course of the game, or over the course of the next month, or the next year, whatever the project is that you guys are working on. So I think that that's huge. And you did touch upon a little bit with what you said in terms of being able to build a relationship, right? So how do you approach building a strong relationship, whether it be with either colleagues or fans or any industry peers? And what is advice that you would give to somebody young and starting out, and then how they would also be able to build relationships as well?
Sure, I think I mean, we're in the relationship building business, especially if you're on an external facing side like the ticket office is. And so I think I'll touch a little bit on both the colleague piece and then also touch on the fan piece first. So I think the fans is you want to make sure that you're hearing what they have to say. So if there's any feedback or things that they want to see, like you want to have that open lines of communication so you know, hey, we'd love to see this. I've been an alum or a fan for this many years and I want to see this happen. Like, can this be a thing? Like I want to have that dialogue with our donors, with our fans that say, yeah, like this is something we can put on our roadmap and we can work toward it. And so because I want them to know that their feedback and their like all their information is valuable to us. We don't want to just say in one ear out the other and we don't care about it. We're going to do what we're going to do. We want to make sure that they are still dedicated to North Texas. They want to be engaged with us still. And so having that dialogue and then just learning more about them, just being curious, willing to put things to the side that may be pressing on my end. If they're in our office, I want to be fully present with them. I'm not going to, if I have to answer a call from someone important, like maybe that's one situation where I need to take it, but like I want to be fully present. I want to engage with you. How can I help you? How can we make your experience better? All those kind of stuff. So we try to preach that to our team as well. And then we can catch up on whatever we need to after the fact when that donor has left or we've helped them or whatever the case. In terms of like the colleague or coworker piece of things, I think you just want to know to get them on a personal level. It doesn't have to be solely about work. That's one thing that I want to learn is I want to learn about you as a person. I know what you can do in the work professional space, but I want to get you to know as a person. How can I develop that friendship, that relationship early on? To build trust, honestly, is a big thing because when I lean on you for something in a marketing script or a donor ask or whatever the case may be, like I want to know that I can trust you and you're going to give them the right information that makes us look good. So that's obviously huge and trying to go trust first. But similar principles of being present with them, like I try not to have my phone out on different things when I'm interacting with people. To me, I think it's a simple thing, but it makes it look like you are not the most important thing in the room if my phone's out on the table waiting for a text message or a phone call. So, and I always have to work on this, but I try to be present as much as I possibly can to give you my full attention. And I think that goes a long way, and hopefully the things that I do, I would hope to get in return, and that's how we kind of build that trust and camaraderie. And at the end of the day, we're all going to have a lot of different things on our plate, but if you go in it with the right attitude and knowing that you're willing to help, and if I help you and it requires me to stay an hour late to do all my stuff that I missed on because I was helping you, so be it. Like I'm totally fine doing that because I want to help you be successful in that landscape. So just that trust and building it from there, I think is super important. And having those open dialogue conversations with individuals if you're brand new, if you're new to a job, if you're new to your internship, whatever the case may be, I think don't be afraid to have informational interviews, or I guess you can call them informational interviews if you want, but just have those open dialogues, learn about the individual outside of the office and see how you can learn from their experiences. And more likely than not, they're going to give you advice on what they did wrong, what they suggest for you, because I know I always enjoy giving feedback and advice to those that need it as well.
It's always good, right? And you never know when you might need someone to kind of scratch your back too, right? So I think it's always good to, pay it back, right? And this sort of goes into my next question, which you basically have essentially touched on here. And it is, what do you think is the most important skill for the next generation of professionals that are going into ticketing? And again, you sort of did touch a little bit upon this, but if you could just reiterate that for them.
Yeah, I think, and this doesn't apply to just ticketing alone. I think it just is collegiate sports in general, or I guess really sports in general, is just kind of that relationship piece that we've touched on a little bit. But I think making the effort and making the intention to network and getting to know people. I think I've done a lot of great things in my career because I've been helped through a lot of different people, had a lot of great conversations, but a lot of those I've seen have gone down the wayside because there's no follow-up. There's no intention behind it. It's one conversation, someone's looking for a job, whatever the situation may entail, and then they just never talk to them again. But I hope to develop that relationship by periodically checking in, seeing how things are. I'm involved in a couple of different things outside of North Texas, kind of on a collegiate ticketing groups as a whole. So having the opportunity to engage with those individuals on a wider lens, I think is huge. And it's definitely something that I've really, really enjoyed and got to meet a lot of great people. So that, I mean, that's something that I'll continue to do and continue to hopefully stress to others, is to get involved in many different ways, because there are opportunities no matter what lens you're in or whatever department you're in. I think that's key, to meet others and then just be willing to have open dialogue about things, willing to give advice, to hear advice, and see how you can help one another, because we're all in it together, to be honest. And we all have the same goals in mind for the most part. And so if we can help one another, that's obviously going to help us all get to our goals closer than it is if we're all like divided. I'll even I'll even say, sorry to cut you off, but I'll even say, like, to that point exactly, I would not be in the chair that I'm sitting in right now if it was not for my interaction with my boss. So when I was at Colorado State in the ticket office, when I volunteered, I was there for a year and a half. And after that, I went to grad school in Arizona. And I just stayed in touch with my boss, periodically checking in. He kind of helped me get that opportunity at Northern Arizona for my graduate degree. And I found out that 6 months after I had left, or at some point, he had moved to Texas and he had taken this job at North Texas. And so we would just stay in touch here and there. And I had no intention of leaving Arizona at all. And then all of a sudden, he called me one day and says, "Hey, I have an opportunity that you may be interested in." And I think I wouldn't have got that call if it wasn't, one, for the work that I did when I worked with him as a student. And I think he kept my name in mind, which is obviously great. But under his leadership, like, I learned so many different things, which is why I was able to get an opportunity in Arizona. And then just being intentional with checking in with him every couple months. And it wasn't anything too crazy. It was text messages. It was a quick phone call, just checking to see how they're doing. And then we just stayed up to date with one another. And then we had a call, and he said, "Hey, I think you may be really good at this." And now I'm here in Texas. It's only been almost been 3 years. So you never know, too, to your point, of when you're going to interact with someone again. And so that's just being intentional, not burning any bridges when you leave something, and truly appreciating the opportunity that you've been given, because it could help you in the end. Because I did not, if you were to tell me 3 months ago or 3 years ago that I was going to be in Texas, I would have never said you were truthful with that. Like, I would have thought you were lying. And so, I mean, it just worked out, and it's been great so far. So just a little tidbit there.
Yeah, and that's a perfect way to go off that. I mean, like I said, you're building yourself up now, and I think it's great. And I think what I want to get into now is kind of talking a little bit more about your time right now, right, at UNT. And so let's really sort of dive into this, right? What is a project that you have worked on at UNT that you are so proud of? And what does the day-to-day look like doing that project?
Yeah, so I think one of the things that I'm most proud of isn't necessarily in my job description. So we have a group led by our senior woman administrator, Jessie Gardner, called Mean Green Connect. And so pretty much what that is, it's a staff empowerment initiative that we have determined and we have created within our department that makes people feel valued and feel appreciative for the work that they're doing at North Texas. And so it's completely like voluntary. We have one representative from each unit. So I represent the ticket office. We have marketing, communications, development, academics, everyone, and we meet monthly. And we work on different social engagements for our staff. We have a tailgate happening at one of our soccer games coming up. There's different socials we do, holiday parties, you name it, community service events. So we are super engaged in that capacity. And one of the things that we've worked on that I've kind of helped lead is interdepartmental mentorship program. And so basically allowing the platform for those that are seeking membership or mentorship, or want to provide mentorship, like the opportunity to do so. So we actually just launched it a couple weeks ago. We've got about 15 to 20 pairings of individuals from our department, which I think is a tremendous turnout, that we're starting to kind of really engage for this entire year, academic year, of just having resources to get to know people within the department you don't work with every day. So I may have someone that works in sports medicine or broadcast or a different lens that I don't work with every single day. And so getting to know those individuals is going to be awesome. And I'm very fortunate to be able to help kind of lead that trend and that project in our department. So just another thing that we appreciate the people that work with us, and we want to provide them opportunities to be successful as they move on, because they're not going to be here forever. So we want to make sure their experience here is super valuable, and that's someone that I've loved to work on. So Not too much day to day in that capacity, just besides the fact of making sure that everything's lined up, communication is where it needs to be. But that's something that I've loved doing. And then kind of going to the job description part of it, one project I think is just our just continued initiative to get people to games, whether no matter what sport it is. I think just being creative in our branding, in our promotions, in the way that we market different things is something that I love to be a part of. Love to be a part of those meetings and just see how can we be innovative and how can we capitalize on different things that are happening on social media, around our teams, or just in general. And so I think being strategic about that is super helpful, and it's been a really cool thing to be a part of.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. Like, being involved in the meetings. And I think something even, to that point too, like when you're in a meeting, you have to think about how to promote something and get people into the games. I think it's challenging in itself, but I think it's really challenging too, right? Like maybe when the team isn't doing so hot, right? Like that's kind of when the gears need to start turning a little bit more. And then obviously when the team's doing well, it's a little bit easier. But I mean, still coming up with different ways to promote stuff, right? Because there's a little bit more excitement going on, right? If the team's doing well. So yeah, no, 100% agree. I think that's an awesome story, and I think this has been a really interesting conversation. So as we're kind of getting to the end of this, I want to do something. We do these quick fire questions, right? They're 3 questions without you knowing what they are. And I'm gonna ask you 3 questions, and like I said, they won't be too difficult, but it's a fun little segment. So we'll get started on that. Podcast or playlists on your commute?
I'm a playlist guy.
Really? What do you got on the playlist?
So I don't have a specific thing. I think the one that I'm on Spotify is like upbeat mix, get me going for the morning, and go from there.
All right, I like it. Some upbeat stuff. I like it. Right on the way to work. What is one thing on your bucket list you will do in the next 5 years?
Ooh, that's a great one. I'm a huge golfer, so I'm gonna say either attend and or volunteer at a major championship. We got one in our backyard here in a couple of years, here in Frisco, Texas. So hopefully I get the opportunity to go there. But that's one of them that I want to go to.
Oh man, that'd be awesome. I freaking love to golf myself. Yeah, that would really be something. Actually, if you're able to do that, I'm sure you'll be able to. And the last one is, what is your go-to pump-up song?
Oh my gosh, that's a terrific question, and I'm going to be honest, I have no idea. Let's see. I'm just going to go with a basic one, is All I Do Is Win. I just love that song. I mean, we played it the other night when we went undefeated, so just a fun one, just a basic one, but always has similar emotions every time we play it.
I love it because there's so many different ones that you can actually like pick from like all different genres that just get you so excited. And it's everything from like the lyrics, but to also how it sounds, and like if people can actually sing along to it, right? Like it makes the whole environment so much better, right? When you have a good pump up song.
I could never,
or even for yourself.
Could never be a DJ for our marketing team. Give them huge props because I never know what music to play. So good thing I don't have to be in charge of that for our games.
Yeah, that honestly that would be a little stressful, right? For figuring out like how to like go in between different songs, and then like what songs to pick, and like what's the vibe going on, like is it more of a rock vibe or is it a hip hop vibe, right? So I can see where that would be stressful, but it's definitely it's definitely cool to have a good song. So we'll kind of wrap things up, and I will ask you if there's anything else that you would like to mention to anybody. I know you were recently named the 3rd Vice President of NAATSO, and if you want to go into a little bit of that, and like what's next for you in your career. So what's next for you in your career? How can listeners interact with you? Where can they follow your work?
Yeah, I think so. I'll touch the first part on the 3rd Vice President of NATSO, kind of what I talked about earlier, being kind of involved in programs kind of collegiate-wide for ticketing. That's kind of the realm that I'm involved in. If you're in the ticketing space and are in collegiate athletics and want to hear more about it and just get more involved, meet more people, highly recommend NATSO. I've been a part of it ever since I was a student, and I've moved my way up to be 3rd Vice President now and just being more involved. So obviously happy to provide more information about what that is and how to get involved. But I think what's next for me is kind of just continue doing the work that our team is proud of and making North Texas known and just making the environment fun for us. I think hopefully I continue to move up the ranks as the years move on here within the ticketing and the revenue generation space, but just taking advantage one day at a time of the opportunity that we got here, and looking forward to the next challenge, I guess you can say, and opportunities that we got. But people can connect with me on social media. on different things. Just by pretty much my name is pretty easy. Adam Sharrah to find on LinkedIn, Instagram, X, kind of you name it. There, and always happy to provide advice, have conversations, have informational interviews. Kind of always happy to assist however I can, and want to hear potentially stories of successes from individuals. And if you heard anything from this podcast or this conversation that you really enjoyed and elaborate on, would love to hear that as well.
Awesome. Well, Adam, it's been a pleasure. It's been great speaking with you. We're so happy we got to have you on. And you heard it here, guys. Go follow him on all the platforms, X, Instagram. Go connect with him on LinkedIn. Ask him questions. And we will see you next week on Front Office U Fridays. Take care, Adam.